A couple of months ago, I got really into doing alcohol ink art, which is so much fun. But the reason I got into it actually is because I kept seeing acrylic pours and resin art online, and I was like, oh, that looks so fun, but resin is extremely scary, and I didn't want to have to buy a bunch of supplies for acrylic pours. And then I discovered alcohol ink art, which was so much more easily attainable for me and not intimidating, so I got really into it, and it is so much fun. So the pieces I'm showing here were done by both my boyfriend and I, and we did these on Yupo paper, which this is the brand of Yupo paper I have. I got it from Hobby Lobby, and Yupo paper is basically just non-porous paper. And the alcohol inks I'm using are a mixture of these Ranger inks that I got from Hobby Lobby, as well as actually Copic ink. I actually started using Copic ink because it is alcohol ink, it works just the same, and I didn't have alcohol inks when I first started, so that's what I started with. And to actually do these on canvases or other non-porous surfaces, you can seal it with Kills too. This is what the internet has taught me, and it has worked marvelously so far. So you can do these on canvases. The only problem with alcohol inks is that alcohol inks as a whole are not light fast. They will fade. From what I've heard, they fade very quickly when left out in the sunlight, so you always want to seal something after doing it. That is a separate problem for a different day. Pretty much to use alcohol inks, you need rubbing alcohol. I have isopropyl alcohol that I got from Walgreens, and the one I'm focusing on today is this pitch black alcohol ink by Ranger, and that's because it produces like really cool tones within the black when you dilute it with alcohol. This is a little swatch I did of it when I first got it, and you can see there's a lot of colors within this single color, so I wanted to work on a canvas and use this ink in particular. First and foremost, let me just say, this is not a tutorial by any means. I don't really know what I'm doing. Everything I've learned has been from other YouTube videos, so this is just kind of how I've been doing it, and it works for me. So pretty much my process is just kind of lay down some alcohol, put down some alcohol ink, lay down a little bit more alcohol on top. That's what I have found to do that works the best for me. It just really helps get it to spread, and then blow it around with a straw. And that's literally all there is to it. This is something that anyone can do, and I think it's so much fun. You can do it on Yupo paper, you can do it on sealed canvases, you can do it on sealed wood if you wanted to, and it's just like really hard to make it look bad, honestly. Like, it's just a lot of fun. Abstract mediums as a whole are very fun because there's not a lot of pressure behind what you're doing, and you can just kind of go at it and work with it. And especially with alcohol ink, it's really nice because if you don't like the way something looks, you can just put more alcohol on top of it, and while it doesn't completely rub away every piece of ink that you've put down, it does help spread it out and just dilute it a lot so you lose the shapes that you had beforehand. So it's just really fun to play with, and you can't really go wrong with it unless you go crazy and put down like way too much alcohol ink, which I have done before, but it is so much fun. I definitely recommend anyone who wants to try this to try it out because, like I said, resin art is something that, in my opinion, looks a lot cooler and looks a lot more fun to do, but resin is a medium that's extremely scary. Resin is also very expensive from what I have seen, and then you have to buy resin, all the resin supplies, you have to buy pigments, you have to buy so many different things to work with that, and alcohol inks, in my opinion, were a lot less intimidating and a lot less money to spend starting off, just because I did have a lot of Copic refills beforehand, so it was just kind of like, I just need Yupo paper pretty much and rubbing alcohol, and then I can go from there. So from there I just kind of built up a small collection of actual alcohol inks with the intention of being used for abstract mediums, which you don't even need to use. And honestly, the like ounce ratio to the price, it's almost cheaper. I think it is actually technically cheaper going off of the Copic ink refills for alcohol ink, which is really funny because a little tiny bottle of the actual alcohol inks, like the Ranger brand alcohol inks, and there are a lot of other brands out there, but the individual bottles are like around $3, I think, and the Copic refills are around $6, but the Copic refills come with way more ink, so that's just something to look into. People don't traditionally use Copic ink refills for alcohol ink art, but it works just the same because it's all alcohol ink. So I use a mixture of both when I'm doing alcohol ink pieces, which I haven't even done a whole lot of. I haven't actually done alcohol ink art in a couple months. I haven't done it since I moved, and I've just really been wanting to try out this black one, so I figured I would film it and share this with you guys because I have wanted to make a video regardless on alcohol ink art because I think it's really fun and I think this is something that everyone could have fun doing. Like, I got my boyfriend to do this with me and that was really cool, and eventually I want to do some canvases with him because it's really cool and you can hang them up in your house. I do actually have one on canvas that I have hanging up in my house. It is sealed with resin, which is extremely scary. Like I said, resin is a very scary medium, but I have worked with resin twice in my life. Both times have been to seal the other canvas I did, and it is extremely scary. It turned out okay, but resin is expensive and resin is scary. But if you do want to do alcohol ink art on Yupo paper or a canvas, it is highly, highly, highly recommended that you seal it. You can technically seal it with other things than resin. There are certain sealer sprays that you can use, like UV protecting sprays that you can use, but I figured instead of buying like 3 different sealer cans, because that's what was recommended to me by Google, were 3 different like sprays to seal it, I decided to do resin, which is scary, and I'm scared of. I'm like kind of debating on if I want to seal this with resin or not, but I'm not sure if I like this one enough to seal it with resin. I do like the way it looks, but it's really dark, so I don't know if I'd want to hang this up anywhere, or I don't know what I want to do with it, but I do like how it turned out. I did decide to go ahead and put acrylic paint on it. I decided to do some accents with acrylic paint. Initially I was going to use gold leaf, but I decided I didn't want to use gold leaf. I changed my mind because that would have taken a lot longer and I wasn't really feeling it, so I just went in with acrylic paint. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it's like that. You have a good idea and you're like, nope, never mind, change my mind. But it was really cool actually because when I was painting with the acrylic paint, it seemed to reactivate some of the alcohol ink spots, so it was gold paint, but in some spots it looked like rust-colored paint, just because it looks like it had blended in with the alcohol inks. It was completely dry when I started adding the paint, but I don't know. It looked really cool. It was a happy accident, so I am very happy with how this turned out. I hope you guys found this kind of interesting. I know it's definitely a lot different than what I normally do here, but it was something that I've been wanting to make a video on for quite some time, so I hope you guys enjoyed watching it regardless, and I will see you in the next one.